take that mental space out so that you can use it for your exams. So over the past few weeks, we've gone through the admin and all the preparation that you need to do before actually sitting down and doing the university application. So in this video, I'm going to be walking you through some of the little tips that you can use while you're doing your university application. But the main focus of this video is you are actually going to be doing your university application. If you have started already, that is great. I'm glad you haven't waited, but you can just use these steps to make sure that you're doing the right thing moving on forward. So the first thing is, I would highly suggest that you do all your university applications in one sitting. And the reason for this is, majority of your university applications, they're going to be asking you the same thing: your name, your surname, your address, the school that you're at, and that sort of thing. Majority of the stuff is the same, so that is why it's wise to do it all in the same. Woo! And also because you'll be in the same mindset of university application, you'll be doing the same thing over and over again, so you pick up things, and you might even do another application at a different university and pick up like, oh, okay, I didn't put this in, that's a mistake that I made, and you can go back and fill in. So just being in the same setting, having that same mindset that I'm doing university applications, becomes so much easier for you than doing it here and there, here and there. You might forget what you haven't filled in, and that will lead to a whole lot of mistakes. The second tip that I can give you is, you need to have a little notebook or a little paper next to you. A paper is not advisable because it will get lost, but either a notebook or your notepad on your phone, because every single university that you're going to apply to, they're going to give you a student number or an application number, and they're going to give you a password or expect you to create a password, and you need to keep track of all these passwords and usernames because you need to be able to log in and check the status of your university. So to prevent it getting lost, create some systems so that you're keeping track of all these things, because trust me, you're not going to remember 5 different university usernames and passwords. So just take that mental space out so that you can use it for your exams and put that information on a piece of paper so that you can reference it later on. Third thing to know is that for every single university that you apply to, you're going to be required to pay an application fee. This can range from 0 Rand to 700 Rand depending on the university and your nationality. If you're an international student, they might expect you to either pay the same price as South African students, or the price might be a little different. For example, adverts for South African students it's 100 Rand, but for international students it's 700 Rand. So be aware of those specific differences, but please make sure that you're paying this application fee. You can either pay the application fee straight after you do the university application, so that you're taking it off that, okay, I'm done with UWC, or you can select that, okay, I'm going to apply at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 universities, and then you pay all the application fees so that you know that when you're starting your application, you don't have to stress or worry about not paying your application fee. So use whatever system is going to work for you. Personally, I prefer the second one because it keeps you accountable, because you know you actually paid your money and you actually have to apply now, because you don't want to put your money to waste. But whatever system works for you, just make sure that application fee is paid before the closing date, because if you don't pay, they're not going to look at your application. Fourth thing, the type of documentation that you're going to need for your applications. Please make sure that all your documentation is in PDF form, and if it is a copy of something, it is a certified copy, and the certification must not be older than 3 months. So the documentation that you're going to need is, you're going to need a copy of your passport or your ID documentation. You're going to need a copy or the original PDF from your high school of your results. So you can either use your grade 11 November results, you can use your matric March, or your June results. If you're going to be using your June results, please make sure that you're not going to submit this after applications close. For example, if you write your June exams in May, but then you only get your report early July when you go back to school, but then applications have already closed, then that will put you at a disadvantage. If the university that you're applying to, the applications close either end of July or at the end of September, then it's still fine. to use those results. So just make sure that whatever results you're going to use, they are the best ones that you have, and also you are able to provide those results before the application closes. So the other things that you need is copy of your certificates, your awards, recommendation letters, motivational letters, proof of payment of your application fee. You're going to need a unique or a professional working email address that you have access to, a working contact number that you have access to, and then your own banking details. I know the last three, a lot of people have a lot of comments to say about this. This is my opinion on it. You need to have your own working email address, because all your university application is going to go via that email. You're going to use that email when you're doing your application, because they will require an email address. You need to have access to this email address, because whatever communication that comes from the university, you need to have first and access to it so that you can reply to it as soon as possible. I know there's a lot of students that use their parents' email address or their aunt and whatnot, but the disadvantage with that is either the relative is going to forget that you got your email, or they're not going to check the email, and by the time you actually receive communication from the university, it's too late for you to do anything. I've had so many interactions with students where they come and say, my aunt didn't tell me that I got accepted, so I accepted my offer late, and now can I resolve that? No, please do not put yourself in that situation. Get yourself a working email address. It's totally free to get a working email address from Google, and the working contact number. Even if you do not have a working phone, get that 150 Rand phone so that whatever SMS is going to come from the university, it comes to you, because some universities, they'll use both email address and an SMS to tell you we have received your application, or your university application is pending, or if they know they're not getting some communication from you via email, some will even call, but that's if the university is really nice. But please make sure that you have access to this working phone number and email address. And then when it comes to your banking details, you might not necessarily have to put it in when you're doing the university application, but I know some do want those banking details if you're going to be applying for like financial aid or accommodation. But the most important reason why you need a working account number that is yours in your own name, one, you need to be able to have access to the funds that are coming to that email address without needing clearance from anyone else. When you're applying for bursaries, you are going to be required to have those working banking details. If you do choose to work part-time in the university, they're going to need your banking details. So it's so much easier if you have these banking details of your own without having to have access through someone to ask them to check, did you get this, and that sort of thing. It's free for you to open these bank accounts, and if they're going to ask you for a fees, I think maximum like 50 Rand for like administration fees and that sort of thing. So please, you're entering university, you're going to be an adult now. It's important that you have those three important things. So in addition to all these documentation that you'll be required to submit, please note that some faculties or some degrees are going to require you to submit specific documentation. For example, if you're going to be applying for medicine, they're going to require you to submit a personal statement, a personal evaluation assessment of some sort, and that sort of thing. But all of that will be explained to you while you're doing application. It will give you promptings of things that you still need to submit. So just be aware that there might be additional things that you need to provide. Once you have all this documentation, I would highly suggest that you either put it on your desktop in a folder where you know you've got everything, so that when you start doing your applications, you just go into that folder to fetch the stuff and upload. Or you can also put it on Google Drive, but whatever is going to work for you, so that you have quick access to it and everything is in one folder. Please make sure everything is one folder so that you're not going to download documents to try to find information. Just be very organized about it. So now you're about to start your university application. I would highly suggest that you create a table. So how you will use this table is you write the university that you're applying to, and then you say your choices, the deadline, and the faculty that you're applying into. And this will make your life so much easier when you're going through your university application, because you go to the specific university application. Cool, then you know you're dealing with one column. You know, okay, I'm applying for this degree, it's under this faculty. It'll be so much easier for you to go through the whole application process, because you know where to find your things, because it can get confusing when you're on the portal to actually find where everything is. So if you have it written down already, Trust me, it goes so much quicker and you don't have to sit hours and hours and hours trying to do your university application. Please make sure that you submit your degree choices in order of preference, because some universities and some faculties are very particular about this. For example, your health degrees, medicine, nursing, occupational therapy, those type of things, they will only look at your application if it is your first choice. If you're going to put nursing as your second or your third choice, they will not consider you, because one, it's an indication to them that you're not serious to get into that degree, because it is highly competitive and it should not be a second choice. At each university, you're going to be required to have 3 choices. There are some universities that only allow you 2. So please make sure that everything is in order of preference. Another thing that you need to check is the name of the degree. If you saw my video last week, I used the example about dentistry. Dentistry, you've got dental therapy, you've got dental surgery, and you've got oral hygiene. All of these have everything to do with dentistry, but it's going in different fields. So please make sure that you are specific about the degree that you want to go into and not just say dentistry, because you will get so confused as to which avenue that you want to go into. That's why I told you guys to do your research on which degree offers that you want to go into. Another thing is, please be aware that at different universities, the same degree will have different names. So for nursing, you can either have it as a Bachelor of Technology of Nursing Science, or a Bachelor of Nursing, or a Diploma of Nursing. So be very specific about the names of your degrees to make sure that you're applying to the right thing. So that's why it's important that you create this table, so that you're not in the portal and now you're trying to figure out what type of degree am I going for. If you have it written down already, it makes life so much easier and makes the application process go quicker. Please be very, very, very careful when you're putting in anything that's got a number. You're putting your ID number, your contact number, your email address, your NBT number, your examination number. Please double and triple check these numbers, because if you put in the wrong one, it might be difficult for you to rectify, especially if it's after the closing of your application. But also, if you put in the wrong one and you do not check, it becomes difficult for them to identify you as a learner, especially if you put in the wrong examination number. It becomes difficult for the university to get your final results, which would delay you getting an approval or a decline or whatever from the university. If you put in the wrong NBT number, they can't get to NBT results. That will also delay your application. So please make sure that you're double and triple checking all information that you're putting in for your application, but specifically for anything that's got a number in it. Please make sure that you're actually completing your university applications on time. And that's why I've been very specific about you guys doing your research and doing all your admin stuff and preparation before you actually sit down and do your university application, so that when you know you are sitting down, you're doing your application and you're finishing it in one go, instead of starting it and like, oh, I need to find this out, or I need to sort this out, and then you forget to actually come back and finish the application. So please do not put yourself in such difficult positions, and also do not get tempted with the university late application dates that they give you. Yes, they provide you that opportunity to submit your application late, but one, not all universities allow you to do that, and 2, that means your application is going to be looked at last because you put it in last. And if the degree that you want to go into is very competitive, you are highly unlikely not to get a space, because they've already got their maximum students that they need. And this also comes in hand with the submission of your documentation. Yes, you can start and finish the admin part of the application, like putting in your name and surname and that sort of thing, but if you still need to capture other documentation, please make sure that you do it within 3 days of you starting that application. Because if you think that you're going to have an opportunity to submit those documents after the applications have closed, some universities might allow you, but some, as soon as they see that there's a documentation missing, they will chuck your application away. So please do not put yourself in these unnecessary disadvantages for yourself when it was something that you could have resolved already. That's why, guys, I've been reiterating that you do all this admin before you sit down, so that when you sit down, everything is a go. Okay, so now we're finished with your actual university application. You have sent it off. Depending on your personal circumstances, there's going to be other things that you will need to apply for that are separate from your actual university application. These things include accommodation, financial aid, bursaries, scholarships, and those type of things. So make sure that as soon as you finish with a specific university to apply for the specific degree, then straight after apply for the bursary. If there is bursaries that you can apply at that university, then apply for accommodation, so that you know with the one university you're done with everything, then you move on to the next one. I spoke about bursaries and scholarships a few weeks ago, so you should have already started with your bursary and scholarship applications a long time ago, and you should be finished by now. So that right now you're just focusing on the actual university application. So after you finish your university application, you finish your accommodation, bursaries, and that sort of thing, then obviously now we are all waiting for feedback and trying to find out what's happening with our application. So there's different types of feedback that the university might give you. Regarding timeline of when the university will give you feedback, it differs from every university. Some universities will give you feedback as you submit your application. So for some that apply like early April, sometimes the university might even give you feedback by June, or others will wait until everyone has submitted the applications, and then only after the application is closed, then they'll start looking at the applications and give you feedback. So at least a month and a half after the applications close, start expecting to get some feedback, or go on the university portal and check the status of your application. So the first status they might give you is awaiting final decision. So this means that you have met the minimum requirements, but you have not yet been selected for that program. Your application is under consideration, and decision will be based on competition for space. Second status they can give you is status is pending, awaiting final decision, or waiting decision. It means that your application is obviously still under consideration and they haven't made a decision about it. And then provisional or conditional acceptance. I know this one is a popular one. If you get provisional or conditional acceptance before your matric results come out, it means that they will offer you a place if your matric results stay the same or become better than the results that you provided, whether that was your November or your March or June matric results. And then obviously the last status they can give you is accepted, which is quite self-explanatory. Each university will have different terminology for it, but majority of it is the same. And then during the whole course of the application, should you have any communication with the university, please ensure that you're keeping receipts of these communication. If it's email, obviously you have check of it, you can literally print the whole proof. But if it is a telephonic communication, make sure that you get the name of the person that you spoke to, which department or faculty, and the contact number that you used to contact that person. Because should things go wrong and you need to plead your case that you were given the wrong information and that sort of thing, you need to have proof that you spoke to someone that they can trace back and actually go find out from that person. I always suggest that you watch my story of how I almost didn't get into university story. It really explains to you what happened with my application, how I made the mistake of not doing this, and it almost get me into trouble. So please learn from my mistakes and keep a track of all the people that you're going to be speaking into. So now we've come to the point where you have been accepted. Please read the terms and conditions of that email that they give you carefully. When they give you an acceptance offer, they will give you conditions that you must accept that offer within 24 to 72 hours, depending on the universities. Do not miss that deadline. Even if it's on the weekend and they tell you that you must accept this offer within 2 to 3 business days, count that weekend. That's what happened with me. I got an offer at Wits and they told me between 2 to 3 business days. It was over a weekend. I didn't count the weekend. By Monday morning, that offer was gone and was given to someone else. But as soon as you get that offer, what I would suggest is accept it as soon as possible. Yes, you'll still be awaiting other offers, but at least know that should things go wrong, you've got an accepted offer, and at least it allows you to have an array of different choices. So make sure that you accept these offers, and then you just keep a tally of all the offers that you've accepted, so that when eventually you get accepted to all these different universities, you now have choices to choose from because you've accepted them, instead of trying to see, oh, I'm waiting for this university to give me feedback. No, accept the offer. You can always decline it later on should you choose not to go to that university. It's just keeping all your eggs in the basket and eventually trying to decide which one you're going to hatch. That's probably not a good example, but you get what I'm trying to say. So I really hope this video made sense. I know it's a lot of things to remember, a lot of things to try and juggle while you're doing your applications, but you can always come back and to watch this video should you forget or you need any advice. For me, honestly, I think the sitting down process and actually filling in the forms is the easiest part. The difficult part is actually doing your research and making sure that you know what is happening with each different university, but take it at a time, one university at a time. You can do it, but please make sure that you are aware of the different deadlines for each different university. So until next time, have an awesome one. Bye guys.